This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
Have you guys been able to develop any DER repairs or any specialty repair work that maybe sets you guys apart?
So we have not developed any DER work yet. And most of that is because of our customer focus. We do some work for operators. We're not a big enough shop to handle major operators' volume of wheels and brakes throughout there. So what we do is we focus on some of the smaller operators. We work with those teams on, doing repairs and contracts for those guys. But our focus has always been the aftermarket company, similar to Wyatt Aerospace, where we're owned by somebody who also owns an aftermarket USM provider. So obviously, we're there to support those needs. We're kind of uniquely set up with our team to support the USM requirements. And those requirements are wildly different than what you would see from a direct operator, is less engineering work. But because we're working so much in the aftermarket, that kind of leads away from DER repairs because they're not accepted by every operator. So if Jet Midwest had a break in stock that we worked on, we try to make sure that it's all OEM repairs and no PMA parts unless you guys have authorized that.
In the marketplace, since you are really servicing the USM market, I guess is maybe your primary customer base. Since that's the case, are you setting yourselves apart by the turn time and or quality, or it will help all of our listeners understand how you guys are really setting yourself apart?
It's a complicated process where sometimes you're using multiple units to keep the price down, or you're cannibalizing parts to tear down for piece parts. We purchase wheels and brakes when our customers have them available, and we tear them and tag to piece parts. And we put those in stock. We use those on the repair side to help offset some of the OEM lead times and cost changes on piece parts. And then we also are able to pass those savings on to our customers. We also allow customers to send in multiple units to make one, and we only charge the one evaluation charge. We allow customer furnished material at no fee. Really just kind of work with people in the aftermarket. Turnaround time is a key factor for us. We offer expedited service for everybody.
I know I'm very curious, and all of my listeners who are in the USM market that send their wheels out, how do you guys manage all the rubber? Is there some big mountain of tires in Arizona somewhere that you guys are, making some big statue or something out of?
No statue going on in the back. We do have a storage yard where we'll store them for a period of time. And then once we have a truck full, we'll send them off for recycling. Unfortunately, tire recycling is a cost side of the business and not an asset side. So it really does cost us money to recycle those properly. And unfortunately, there's no way around it as far as we can tell yet.
I think the emergence of all of these turf fields for soccer or football or lacrosse, they grind up the tire particles and put them in there.
Yeah.
Those things are quite terrible when they get in your shoes, but they do make the turf softer. So I know there's someone's out there making a buck on them coming back to the marketplace, that's for sure. Do you guys also provide the service to go ahead and fit the tires on or retread tires?
Of course, we don't do the retreading ourselves, but tire installation is absolutely something that we offer. It's a little bit more difficult when you're working with a USM provider versus a direct operator. If they're operating the aircraft, they know what brand tire they want on there. They know if they can use a retread or if it has to be a new tire every time. Working with our USM customers, that can be a little bit of a pain point because they get a request for an RQ and it says, I want this wheel with a tire on it. Typically, they don't know if their customer has a brand preference or a retread. But we have partners and distributors that work in that side of the business, and we'll acquire those tires. And we're even a West Coast stocking location for tire distributors too. They'll store it in our facility, and then we can offer a zero lead time solution for our customer. If they need a tire, we have it in our inventory, and happy to expand on that program if anybody has any questions on it.
Have you started or put the thought process into some pooling for that purpose?
Yeah, we do offer exchange pooling for outright units and exchanges if we need them. But for direct operators, we don't offer that stuff in the aftermarket unless somebody seeks us out. We don't list any of that stuff. We really don't want to compete against our USM customers. We would love our USM customers to sell all the wheels and brakes that they can and keep sending them in for repairs, because that's what we want to do.
We had mentioned earlier before we were talking, and we had a discussion about whale tail sales. Maybe you can give the listeners an idea of what whale tail is and what they do.
Yeah, whale tail sales is another one of those stories. It's I guess, a positive story of what came out of COVID. Obviously, a lot of time on our hands during COVID. Wyatt Aerospace wasn't doing a lot of sales. There wasn't very many customers reaching out. I mean, so we had a few customers reach out to us, or potential customers, mostly individuals, looking for aircraft parts to either build out their man cave, or complete a simulator, or just decor. There were some furniture manufacturers that wanted some triples off of seats to make office chairs out of, or those types of requests. And so we had the time during COVID, and so we indulged those requests. Most of the time, Wyatt Aerospace will store aircraft in the desert and pull parts off of it for a temporary period of time. So they'll do an initial pull of 700-800 parts, and then store it in the desert for a little while so we can go pull additional parts from it. So during COVID, we had those requests for, you name it, we got it: carpet, seats, ceiling panels.
Man, well, it's awesome if you can monetize carpet. Let's
used carpet. Yeah, it's, that's something else. I think I should have wore a respirator when I was ripping that off the ground. But other than that, we were happy to move it. And so, as I would say, it was even a semi joke at the time where we were talking about a naming rights for it. Whale tail is a 747 aircraft, affectionately referred to as the whale tail. And we were tearing down a very large number of 747-400s at the time. And so we decided on whale tail sales. We started an eBay page, and boom, it was born in 2020, pulling parts, and then kind of evolved over the time. And now we have a full-time whale tail sales director who sits in the office next door to me. She's a wonderful lady, and has the vision for that kind of art pieces that maybe some of us don't have. I definitely don't have. They pull parts every single day off of aircraft that we wouldn't sell from Wyatt Aerospace. I've even got a couple actually over my right shoulder here. There's a galley cart that's been refurbished, and then a window cut that's been designed, and the glass has been etched with our company logo in it. So now we're doing finished products. I even saw one time they put a chiller inside one of the galley carts to make a wine fridge out of it. So really, whatever you've got in your head as far as imagination goes, they'll make it happen.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I know a number of years ago, I had a galley cart at actually a mechanic that worked for me, and he's like, "Hey, I have this idea for a galley cart to turn into a like traveling bar cart that you could have like at your house." And I said, "That's great." So I gave him, I don't know, half a dozen galley carts, and boy, like some mechanics. It was over promise, under deliver on the timing of it. What was supposed to take 3 weeks took about 6 months. I got it just in time for my brother's birthday, so it was pretty neat. But it's great that you guys have turned that into, you took the opportunity as business people, say, hey, we have an opportunity. People have a demand that people started buying. I mean, everything's bought online now, right? So
Yeah.
they're just going to your website saying, hey, this looks pretty cool, or they're going to eBay saying, that's neat. I want 2 of those. I want this, and that's an amazing way to continue to salvage the aircraft. And I wish we could put someone on that like you guys have. I really a little bit jealous there that you guys be able to accomplish that. We've done some artwork. We've done some of those things, usually as gifts for our operators or for our staff, but we haven't really been able to monetize that in a meaningful way. So I think it's one of those things that you should be super proud about, because that's pretty neat. And you think about the world of aviation, one of the problems we have is how do we really properly dispose of the aircraft,
Right.
and this is another way to continue to salvage and items off of the aircraft. And then you're also putting the extremely unique things. People can't just go like we can. We can go today out to the airplane, just cut a hole in it and
Yeah.
take something off of it. And the normal human being on this planet, you just don't get that. You just don't
Yep.
have that opportunity. And it takes companies with some creativity and know-how to get that stuff done. So I'm super rad. Now, what's the coolest thing that they've ever made?
I'll say my favorite project that I was a part of, and most of the whale tail projects I don't get involved in. I don't have the creative side that some of those people have that is well needed for that job duty. But my favorite project was a credit card company was seeking to buy aircraft skin material to be used in the construction of credit cards that was for an airline credit card. So we basically decapitated a 747 and turned it into a convertible all the way from the hump on the top all the way basically to the vertical. And we craned that off and cut in between all the ribs and stringers to get little skin panels off. Ended up sanding those down to remove all the paint and dirt from it. Sent it off for processing where they thinned it out and cut it into perfect shapes where they used it for the manufacturing process. That was an unbelievable project. I'm certain I never will forget watching them crane the top of the 747 off of there.
Is there a particular airline that was trying to do that project that you could talk about? Or is that you got a big no NDA on one of those things?
Yeah, it is a major domestic. I do know it is a major domestic airlines, and unfortunately I can't bring the name up.
All right. So the next time I see you, we'll get a couple cold ones in you, and it's Wyatt Aerospace. So it'll probably be whiskey, right? Right out of the bottle.
You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language.
Well, that's great. Well, listen, I like to ask all of my guests what their favorite aircraft is and why, and usually there's some sentimental value. I've had a lot of answers that have shocked me, and I think that that's awesome. What's your favorite aircraft?
I'm really excited about this one because it's not just an aircraft type. I did some thinking on this one. I'm going to go with a Cessna 172 named the Hacienda. Are you familiar with that story?
I am not. Enlighten me.
Okay, so the Cessna 172 named Hacienda currently holds the record for the world's longest continuous flight between takeoff and landing. If you didn't know that, it's a pretty incredible story. You'll have to take a look at it. It happened over Vegas several years ago. Two guys set up on this highly modified Cessna 172 and flew it for nearly 65 days straight without landing. It's an incredible story. And other people who have tried to do the flight longevity record before have always fueled by using an aircraft over the top that dumps a fuel line into the aircraft that needs the fuel. And the unique thing about the Hacienda was they drove a fuel truck underneath in the desert, and they would drop the hose attached to a rope down with a hook on the end. And somebody would be hanging off the back of the truck, and they would grab the hook and hook up the fuel line to pump fuel up. And then they would also send up fuel and supplies up there too. And there's two guys, they took turns flying and sleeping. They, bathed however they could. And, they had a modified, basically camping toilet up there. It's, I'll let you get into all those details, but what an unbelievable story. 64, almost 65 complete days. And the only reason why they had to come down, it wasn't anything that the two gentlemen couldn't handle. It just simply, they couldn't change the oil in the engine enough. They had a little bit of a method there where they could add new oil to it, but they couldn't drain the oil out of it, obviously, while it was operating. And so eventually it just gummed up, and they just couldn't keep enough power to keep it in the air. So decided for safety reasons to land. But pretty incredible story. It's one of my favorite stories. Doesn't have to be, the world's biggest plane to accomplish something incredible like that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm going to have to look up a little bit more about that because that just sounds incredible. And, leave it to a couple cowboys out in the desert to find a way to make a 172 fly for that long. I don't know if I can put up with anybody for that long. So that'd be an interesting journey. Well, Josh, I really appreciate your time. I know our listeners learned a lot. And for all you out there who are listening today, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.